The moment I hit start, I knew something was wrong. Not in the usual way. No glitches, no crashes, no corrupted files. The game booted up just fine, but the second I pressed that button, the air in my apartment changed. The walls felt closer. The hum of my computer grew quieter. It was like the whole world held its breath. And then the game spoke my name. I wasn't supposed to have this game. A guy in my Discord server, voidspeaker_99, sent it to me. No context, no explanation, just a single zip file labeled stay_inside.exe and a message, "You'll love this, just don't let it play you first." I thought it was a joke, probably some indie horror game trying to pull a haunted cartridge stunt. I love that kind of thing. I eat it up, the creepier the better. And besides, what's the worst that could happen? A jump scare? Some corrupted save data? So I installed it. The menu screen was simple. Gray, grainy, like an old PS1 survival horror game. No options, no settings. Just one word flashing on the screen. Start. I pressed it, and the game said my name. "Welcome back, Noah." I blinked at the screen. How did it know my name? My username was different. My real name wasn't tied to my PC. Weird, but not impossible. Maybe it pulled data from my Steam account. Maybe it was just a coincidence, a lucky guess. I shook it off and kept playing. The game loaded into a dark, empty apartment. Dimly lit, familiar. Too familiar. The furniture was in the same places as mine. The scuff marks on the wooden floors were identical. Even the unwashed dishes in the sink, the same damn dishes I had sitting behind me right now, were rendered in-game. I felt a slow, creeping unease crawl up my spine. This wasn't funny anymore. I moved my character through the apartment, my fingers tight on the controls. The game had no enemies, no music, just the sound of my character's breathing. A hollow, static-like distortion filled the silence. The only thing I could do was walk. So I walked, until I reached the computer desk in-game. On the monitor, there was a single prompt, a command typed out on the screen, blinking. "Look behind you." I froze. I didn't turn around, not at first. I glanced at my real computer screen. The message was still there, waiting. "Look behind you." My heart thudded in my chest. This was a prank, right? A really, really good prank. Someone was messing with me. The game was pre-programmed to make me paranoid. That's all. I forced out a breath and laughed at myself. Just a game. I turned my character around. Nothing was behind them. See? Nothing. I exhaled. My real apartment felt too quiet now. I hesitated. And then, against my better judgment, I turned my real head. The instant I did, something wrapped around my throat. Something wrapped around my throat. Not hands. Not exactly. They were cold, like pressing my neck against the inside of a freezer. Thin, bone-like. Not squeezing, yet, but firm, unmoving, letting me feel their presence. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. I just sat there, my body frozen, my screen bathing the dark room in sickly pale light. My first thought? I must be imagining this. My second thought? I need to get the fuck out of this chair. I tried to stand. The hands held me down. A crackling noise like distorted radio static buzzed behind me, inches from my ear. Then a whisper, just beneath my skin. "Don't turn around again." I squeezed my eyes shut. My pulse pounded in my ears. This wasn't happening. This wasn't happening. This was just a glitch. A hallucination. A fucked up dream. I forced myself to look at the screen. The game was still playing. My character sat frozen at the desk, mirroring me. The in-game prompt had changed. "Follow the rules, Noah." I didn't type that. And then the game's camera started moving on its own. The screen jittered, shaking as if something inside the game was trying to force its way out. I hadn't touched my keyboard. My hands were locked in place, gripping the armrests of my chair, but my character stood up anyway. Slow, jerky, unnatural. They turned toward the in-game door to the apartment. My real door. The game wasn't waiting for me to play anymore. It was playing itself. I tried to exit. Alt plus F4, nothing. CTRL plus Alt plus Del, still nothing. The cursor wouldn't even move. The only thing I could do was watch. My character moved forward, step by step. The floor creaked under their feet. I couldn't hear my own breathing anymore, just theirs, ragged, uneven, like someone suffocating. They reached the apartment door. They unlocked it. The moment I heard the in-game click of the deadbolt, I heard the exact same sound in real life, my own door unlocking. I spun toward the door. It was open. Not fully, just a crack, wide enough for air to stir, wide enough for someone to be watching me through it. I couldn't see anything beyond the sliver of darkness. No face, no hand pushing the door open, just the heavy presence of something waiting there. The hairs on my arms stood up. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then the game screen glitched violently. My character's POV snapped back toward the desk mirror in the apartment, a mirror that didn't exist in my real place. I saw something standing behind them, and then before I could process it, before my brain could fully register what I had just seen, the real door swung open. I slammed my chair backward, nearly falling as I scrambled onto my feet. My heart was going to explode. I couldn't think, couldn't react, but I saw it. Not fully, not clearly, just enough. A shape, tall, thin, its limbs too long, its face blurred, shifting, like a screen struggling to render something that shouldn't exist. Its fingers reached forward, too many of them. I moved without thinking. I grabbed my monitor and ripped the power cord out of the wall. The room plunged into darkness. For half a second, I thought it was gone. But then, in that split moment of blackness, I heard something move closer and whisper. That was a mistake. The moment my monitor powered down, the room changed. I didn't mean physically. The walls were still there, the furniture hadn't moved, but something in the air felt wrong. Like the space had grown thicker, heavier, like something stepped inside. I could still hear my own breathing, shallow, panicked, but it wasn't alone anymore. There was another sound now, hidden in the silence. A faint hum, not mechanical, not human, something in between. I turned toward the door, pitch black, no glow from the streetlights, no city sounds. My entire apartment building had gone silent, like I'd been pulled somewhere else, like I wasn't supposed to exist here anymore. And then a single, slow footstep. Not from the doorway, from inside the room. I stopped breathing. I couldn't see it, couldn't tell where it was, but I could feel it, right in front of me. Something watching, waiting. I reached for my phone, shaking fingers, desperate to light up the dark. I fumbled with the screen, my hands slick with sweat. My thumb swiped up, and then the light flashed on. For one fraction of a second, I saw it, too close. Its face wasn't a face, just a shifting, flickering blur, like a corrupted image struggling to load. Its body was impossibly thin, its limbs bent wrong, as if the idea of human shape had been misunderstood. But its hands, oh God, its hands. Too many fingers, too long, too eager. The moment the light hit it, it lurched back, not like something startled, but like a frame skipping backward, a glitch in movement. A whisper scraped against my ear, turn it back on. And then the light died. My phone screen flickered, battery drained to zero. In the same instant, something grabbed my wrist. I couldn't scream. The moment those cold fingers closed around my wrist, my body went numb. Not just from fear, something else. Like the longer it held me, the less of me existed. Like it was rewriting me. My knees buckled, my vision swam. The room was spinning, warping. And then the screen turned itself back on. I didn't touch it. I didn't do anything. But the monitor flickered back to life. A violent, static-filled screen illuminating the dark. On it, my character was still moving. I hadn't touched the controls in minutes, but there he was, standing, facing the monitor. No, not just the monitor, facing me. And then in the reflection of the screen, I saw what was really holding me. A shape that looked just like me, but wrong. A version with no eyes, no mouth. Just a face stretched into static. And then it pulled, dragged me toward the screen, and suddenly I wasn't in my chair anymore. I was falling. The screen consumed me. One moment, I was in my apartment, my real physical body, and the next I was inside the game. The walls were pixelated now. The air felt thick, artificial. My limbs weren't mine anymore. I looked down, blocky hands, a low-res torso. I wasn't in my body anymore. I was in him, in the version of me that had been moving on its own. A single prompt appeared at the bottom of the screen. Welcome to your new save file. I turned, panicked, trying to find a way out. And then I saw it. The monitor. The one inside the game. The one reflecting my apartment, my real-world chair, my real-world screen. And sitting in my chair was something else. It had my body, my face. It wasn't me, but it looked at me through the screen. And it smiled. A new prompt flashed. Noah has been successfully replaced. I slammed my fists against the screen. Let me out. But my reflection only tilted its head and whispered, why would I do that? I pounded my fists against the screen. Harder. Let me out. No response. The thing wearing my face just tilted its head, studying me. On my side of the screen, the inside, everything was wrong. Pixelated, hollow, empty. A perfect recreation of my apartment, but stripped of detail. Like a low-res memory of my life. But in the real world, the imposter was still sitting in my chair, still watching me. I couldn't hear anything through the glass, but I saw its mouth move, slow, deliberate. And then, a new message appeared at the bottom of the screen. Don't worry, I'll take good care of your life. My stomach twisted. No, I slammed my fists against the glass again, but my hands barely made a sound. They weren't real hands anymore. They were rendered. And then my imposter stood up. It stretched, rolled its shoulders, flexed its fingers, testing them, feeling them out. Like a person trying on a brand new skin. I watched in horror as it glanced around my apartment, the real apartment, smiling like it was admiring a prize. Then it reached down and picked up my phone. It unlocked it. Effortlessly. It knew the passcode. It was me. And then it called someone. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw the way it laughed, relaxed, casually walked to my fridge and pulled out a drink. It was settling in. You won't be missed. I turned away from the screen. There had to be something I could do. The apartment inside the game looked just like mine. Same layout, same furniture, but dead. The colors were muted, like a faded memory. The air was still, too still. And when I moved, my own body felt wrong, like I was wearing clothes made of static. I looked down at my hands again. Blocky, digital, unfamiliar. But the game had to have rules, logic, even nightmares had structure. I forced myself to think. If I got in through the monitor, maybe I could get out the same way. But how? I turned back to the screen. My imposter was still on the phone, still living my life. Then I noticed something else, something that nearly made me sick. The game's UI had changed. In the top right corner, where a player's username would normally be displayed, I saw my name. Noah, and beneath it, a flashing status message. Player 2 detected. My pulse hammered in my chest. Player 2? I turned, scanning the room, but I already felt it before I saw it. Something else was in here, something watching me. I backed away from the screen, my body pressing against the cold digital wall. The air buzzed, not like a sound, but like the space itself was vibrating. And then, from the darkness of the hallway, I saw a shape step forward. Tall, too tall. Its limbs bent wrong, like they'd been programmed without understanding how human joints worked. Its body flickered in and out, like a glitched-out NPC struggling to load. And its face, I knew that face, because it was my face. Or at least, it was trying to be. The features weren't fully formed, the mouth was too wide, the eyes were just empty sockets stretched down its cheeks like they were melting. It smiled. And then the game updated. A new prompt appeared on the screen. Player 2 has joined the game. Objective, erase player 1. The thing took a step forward. Its movements were delayed, like it was lagging, but I knew better than to stand still. I ran. My legs moved too smoothly, weightless, unnatural, like I wasn't touching the ground. I bolted through the apartment, pixelated walls stretching and warping as I passed them. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know if running even mattered. But I knew one thing. The game had given player 2 an objective. And I was player 1. I needed to beat it. I needed to win. Or else, I was never getting out of here. Never getting my life back. And no one would ever know I was missing. I ran. Down the hallway, past the flickering walls, through the distorted copy of my apartment. Nothing felt real. The ground barely made a sound beneath me. My legs moved too smoothly, weightless, effortless, like I was floating instead of running. Behind me, player 2 followed. It didn't run, it walked. Slow, deliberate, its arms twitching like a corrupted animation file. But every time I turned a corner, every time I thought I'd put some distance between us, it was closer. I didn't understand. I wasn't lagging. I wasn't stopping. But somehow it was always right behind me. Like the game was moving it forward. Like it didn't need to chase me. It just needed to wait for me to lose. I turned another corner and slammed into a wall. No, this should be my bedroom. I should be able to keep running. But the apartment wasn't the same anymore. The hallway was gone, the doors were gone. The game was shrinking. It had left me with only one room, a space that looked almost like my real-world bedroom but was wrong. The walls were bare, the bed was rotting, its sheets frayed, its mattress sagging. The air smelled stale, dead like no one had lived here for years. And then, at the center of the room, the monitor, still on, still glowing, still showing my apartment in the real world. And through the screen, I saw myself, the imposter wearing my body. It was standing by my open window, staring outside, breathing in fresh air. The air I should be breathing. The chat box at the bottom of the screen flickered, and new text appeared. Almost finished. Just one more step. I turned. Player 2 stood in the doorway, blocking my only exit. And then, in a voice that was almost mine, it whispered, "You don't get to quit." I lunged toward the screen. If I got in through here, maybe I could get back out. Maybe I could force my way back into my own body, push that thing out, take back my life before it was too late. I reached out, but my hands went right through. Like I was touching fog. No, this had to work. I grabbed at the screen again, but it was like trying to hold onto smoke. And then player 2 grabbed me from behind. I screamed. The thing yanked me backward with impossible strength. I thrashed, kicked, clawed at its grip, but its hands were like stone. It dragged me to the center of the room. And for the first time, I noticed something else. The floor was gone. Or rather, it had turned into a hole. A perfect, square-shaped void of endless black. I bucked against its grip, fought harder than I'd ever fought before. I didn't care if I was digital, if I wasn't real anymore. I was still me. And I didn't want to die. But the thing in my shape only held me tighter. And whispered, so close to my ear I could feel it sinking into my skin. The player doesn't matter once the game is over. And then it threw me in. I fell. Down, 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 into nothing. The world above me shrank, pixel by pixel, until all I could see was a tiny blue glow. The screen, the game, my life. I reached for it, but it blinked off. Gone. I kept falling. I screamed, but no sound came out. And then there was nothing at all. The thing wearing my body closed the window. It picked up my phone, scrolling through my texts. Then it smiled. And in my voice, my perfect, stolen voice, it laughed. New game loaded successfully. That's it. Noah is gone. His body is still out there, walking, talking, living. But it's not him anymore. And no one will ever know. No one will ever question it. Because as far as the world is concerned, Noah never lost. The game did. And it replaced him.